Welcome to the course preview videos for the 2022 Las Vegas Challenge presented by Innova Champion Discs. We'll be giving you a preview of Course Infinite today, brought to you by Infinite Discs, and looking at the new changes in store for this coming Las Vegas Challenge. Let's get into it. Hole 1 on Course Infinite is a 233-foot par 3 with not much in the way. The difficulty on this hole is the sand trap hazard. It covers the whole area all the way up to 210 feet of the fairway. So you got to clear that hazard to land by the basket with something soft. The common mistake is throwing long, leaving yourself an outside of the circle putt, coming back at the hazard for your birdie. This played as a difficult hole last year for our MPO field. It was the 6th hardest hole in the course, so it's touchy and difficult to start your day. We want to thank Infinite Discs for sponsoring the Infinite course at the Las Vegas Challenge. Hole 2 on Course Infinite is a 324-foot par 3 with a tunnel shot right off the tee pad. You're going to want to hyzer something fairly high to get to the basket, which is located on the downslope of a hill just out the way. There is a new OB line on the right-hand side, which is the spectator path, so that all our spectators can see the action. Don't go too deep on this one, as there is an OB behind the basket about 40 feet away. Put up a nice soft hyzer, land right by the basket, tap in your birdie. Don't get caught up in the bushes on the hill. It's going to leave you with an obstructed putt and you'll be scrambling for your par. Hole 3 on Course Infinite is where we see our first change to the course. There's a new tee pad here. The tee pad is moved back and to the left about 60 feet, creating a 666-foot par 4. Now, anything off the drive that goes out of bounds goes directly to a drop zone. So you want to stay straight and flat. Hyzer flit something flat to get out to this grass area. It takes about a 400-foot drive to get down there. If you can get there, you should have an easy up and down for your birdie. If not, you're going to be scrambling. What you don't want to do is hyzer out too early or hit a tree. Now those trees are in play off that new tee pad. Again, big drive, upshot, tap in your birdie. It's just that easy. Hole 4 on Course Infinite is a 390-foot par 3 that plays directly downhill. Now the danger on this hole isn't the OB green you can see right now, it's actually the cart path and beyond behind the basket. Again, you don't need something long here, you just need something lots of glide that can carry down the hill. Throw a mid or a fairway driver that's going to land softly and slide it to the basket. Now this basket will be elevated with the Disc Golf Pro Tour elevated basket to make putting even that more difficult. Again, not an easy hole. It played as the most difficult for our FPO field last year. Good luck. Hole 5 on Course Infinite is a new pin position. It's a 370-foot par 3 with a new OB on the right-hand side as well. There is a spectator path there, so if you hyzer, make sure you come back into play. Now the basket's been moved 20 feet longer and closer to the hazard sand trap to make it a trickier shot for the forehand approach. Again, you have two options off the tee, hyzer either way. But again, watch out for the new OB. It comes into play a lot more on this hole. Course Infinite Hole 6 is the 294-foot dreaded triple island hole. We've got 1, 2, 3 islands. You can play this different ways. You can highland hop, you can go for the second island to hopefully pitch up and get your easy birdie, or like Nate Sexton, go for that 290-foot pin position. The islands get smaller as you get up the hill. What you don't want is to get the red flag and be OB. You don't want to get that dreaded out of bounds sign, because if you do, you go to the first drop zone the first time. If you miss another island, you go to a second drop zone, and finally you play normal OB rules from that point. So again, it's only 294 feet, but it plays all of a par 4. So get your birdie, get your eagle, but ooh, even last year we had a 9 on this hole. Good luck, you're gonna need it. Hole 7 on Course Infinite is a straightforward 358-foot downhill par 3. Now the main danger on this hole is going long of the basket. If you go long, there is a cart path there, and that cart path plays beyond as OB. So again, you want to take a fairway driver or mid-range, something with lots of glide that can hit just short of the basket and slide up to it. The basket does sit on a severe downslope, so rollaways are possible if you miss that basket or you dink off the rim. Again, pretty straightforward hole. Hopefully you get a birdie here. Course Infinite Hole 8 is a 735-foot hole that plays as a par 4 for the men and a par 5 for the women. You have several choices off the tee. You can go up over these trees or take this tunnel route through. You're going to want to get as far down the fairway as you can to leave yourself an option to go at the basket. Again, if you go too far, water can come into play. The water and the green that you see are OB. The basket sits behind the green in a small knoll with a little creek behind it. The creek itself is also OB. So while 735 feet downhill doesn't seem like very far, with all the OB surrounding this basket, it makes it very difficult to access. Again, par 4 for the men, par 5 for the women, and this played is the second hardest hole for our MPO field. Again, get that drive out there, you can get a good look for a birdie. If you don't, lay it up in front of the green and take your par. The next big change in store is on Infinite Hole 9. With a new pin placement, this is now a 427-foot par 3. Last year, if you remember, it played as a par 4, not much longer than this par 3. The basket's been shortened 170 feet, tucked up on the left-hand side. You've got OB beyond the cart paths on either side of the fairway, so keep it out straight. And if you go too long into the grass, that's OB as well. You're going to stay in the dirt for this one. Again, you want to put it almost to the edge of the OB grass, hyzer over, end up behind the palm tree with a putt for birdie. Hole 10 on Course Infinite is a 381-foot par 3 that's one of the most difficult on the course. The reason being is there's a hazard sand trap that sits right in front of this elevated basket. Smart play is to lay up in front of the sand trap, pitch over and take your par. If you run the basket, it does slope away severely behind it. You can roll away, leaving yourself with no putt at all, and you're also putting back at that hazard. Hyzer around this to get your good shot at a birdie, but again, only 10% of the MPO field got birdies here last year. It's definitely a bonus. Good luck. Hole 11 on Course Infinite is a 430-foot par 3. Now this has been changed for our FPO field because last year it was a par 4. But with the scores averaging over a half stroke below par, it's been updated and now will be a par 3 for the FPO. Now the best play is to throw a big drive out to these trees. That'll give you an easy pitch up to take your par. But if you're going to go for the birdie, know that the fairway does narrow down. On the left, the OB line is the fence line. And on the right, you can't see it, but there's water and a rock wall behind the basket that are OB. Again, if you get a birdie here, it is a bonus. Hole 12 on Course Infinite is a 405-foot par 3. It's pretty wide open. You can really let one go here. The only danger, the guardian trees just beyond the cart path. The cart path on this hole is inbounds. So get a big drive out there, keep it low to skip under these trees. With the fast green, you'll slide right up to the basket. Again, big drive, not much to worry about, and no OB really to speak of. Hole 13 on Course Infinite is a very tricky 249-foot par 3. Now with a low ceiling off the tee and 3 hazard sand traps surrounding the basket, this is a tough one. Best play is to keep it low, hopefully skip across these sand traps hard so you're long of the basket. That'll give you a putt back to get your birdie, but don't go too long. There is a cart path beyond the basket where cart path and beyond is OB. Also, there's a creek behind the basket as well. If that's running, the water in the creek is casual, so take your relief and make that putt. Again, After 2 long throws, your touch is going to be affected on this very, very tricky par 3. Hole 14 on Course Infinite is a 405-foot par 3 that plays uphill. Now, it's a big drive off the tee to get behind the second large tree that you can see. Don't hyzer out early. Cart path and beyond on the left is OB. Now, main mistake is not to go into the trees too early. A lot of small bushes that'll obscure your putt for that birdie. If you can swing it out wide to the right and hyzer in just behind the big tree, you'll get to the basket. Again, don't go in too early. You'll be stuck in the trees, and also the danger of heading out of bounds. Hole 15 on Course Innova is a 269-foot par 3. Now, there is a major change on this. If you remember, last year was a par 4, but we've shortened the pin position up about 200 feet, creating a very technical par 3. The best thing to do here is to throw a mid-range or a putter low and try to get through this tunnel of pine trees and access the basket. Both hyzer lines are protected, and if you try to go up over the top of the trees, you can float long and get into the OB that's now behind with a spectator path. Again, touchy shot, but the best way to get to that basket is to go right through this tunnel of trees and hopefully get your birdie. Hole 16 on Course Infinite is a slightly downhill 533-foot hole that will play as a par 3 for our MPO field and a par 4 for the FPO. Now, it does have a new pin placement this year. It's been shortened by 50 feet and tucked to the left across the green. Now, the best play for an MPO is try to get a big hyzer that's going to skip off that green and go right to the basket. FPO is going to want to lay up and chip up and get their birdie. Don't hyzer out too early. There is a cart path on the left-hand side and behind the basket, but the cart path and beyond is OB. The sand trap plays as a hazard, and the green is OB as well. This should play slightly easier for the FPO, but it's going to be much more difficult for our MPO field. Hole 17 on Course Infinite is a 349-foot par 3 that plays exactly as it was last year. Now, this is actually played to an elevated basket. This basket is hung up in the trees on the left-hand side, so you're going to want to get close to give yourself a birdie opportunity. Don't go too aggressive though. Cart path and beyond the left-hand side is OB. The best play is to lay it up the base of this hill to leave yourself an inside of the circle putt. Don't get too aggressive. If you miss chains or get a bad bounce off the basket, you can easily roll out of bounds. Again, hole 17, exactly the same as last year, and one of the most treacherous greens on the course. And finally, we come to hole 18 on Course Infinite, a 301-foot par 3 that is an island hole. Now, to get to the island, you don't have to go directly across the water. There is a pitch out area where you can go to on the right-hand side of the green. But if you go that way, it's still not a guaranteed 3. Best bet is to go directly at the basket, but you've got to clear 230 feet to get inbounds across the cart path. If you don't land inbounds, you go directly to a drop zone, and it is a tough line to get your bogey. Again, come up and over, hopefully get your birdie to end the day on this island hole. We hope you've enjoyed the preview video for Course Infinite here at the Las Vegas Challenge. We want to thank Infinite Discs for being a sponsor of the event, and thank you to Innova Champion Discs for being our title sponsor. Again, we hope to see you in February, and good luck out there.